Hey guys, Jonathan and Susie Lamb here. We just wanted to get on here because so many of you have been concerned about how we're doing, and we just wanted to let you know that we no longer work at Daystar. A lot has been going on over the last couple of years that we just couldn't talk about. But we've given over all of our evidence over to multiple reporters, including the police department.
Jonathan Lamb has finally confirmed the rumors. He recently has stated that he felt compelled to inspect the Daystar TV security feeds. As the vice president of the Global Christian Television Network, Lamb had privileged access to every camera across Daystar's premises. On one of the surveillance feeds, he noticed Shannon Kelly, Daystar's head of security, unlocking the trunk of Jonathan's company vehicle and rummaging through its contents. During that period, tensions between Jonathan and his mother, Joni Lamb, the president of Daystar TV, had reached a boiling point. It didn't take long for him to jump to the conclusion that Kelly had planted a tracker in his car. When Jonathan called and challenged Kelly, she disputed the idea, according to the Roy's report. However, a tracker was discovered in the trunk by a mechanic the next day. According to Jonathan, it marked the first occasion in Daystar's nearly 30-year history that the ministry installed a tracker in a company vehicle. The ordeal began in July 2023 when Jonathan and his wife, Susie, declined to read a viewer's comment praising Joni's marriage to Doug Weiss. From that point forward, the couple alleges they were subjected to Joni's campaign of mistreatment, intimidation, and surveillance.
Daystar was contacted for a comment by the journalist Friday, November 15th, and then I was subsequently fired the following day, November 16th.
Some scary things happened, being followed, private investigators, intimidation, threats. Even through all of that, things don't stop, so we felt like we had no other option but to reach out to a journalist. When you bring things to the light, things, get better.
After discovering the tracker, Jonathan revealed that Joni's assistant had contacted him, alleging that Daystar had installed tracking devices in all company vehicles soon after the passing of Jonathan's father, Marcus Lamb, a co-founder of Daystar, in November 2021. However, according to Shannon Kelly's spending report, which Jonathan gave to TRR, trackers were bought in October 2023, nearly 2 years later. Daystar did not reply when TRR contacted them twice to inquire about the timing and reason behind the ministry's installation of the tracker in Jonathan's vehicle. On November 16, 2023, Daystar threatened to remove Jonathan from his position as a Daystar executive and board member unless he signed an NDA. Daystar demoted Jonathan and cut his pay by 40% a few months later. Both of Susie's parents, who worked for Daystar, were also dismissed by the ministry. At 5:38 p.m. on September 6, 2024, Jonathan and Susie made a startling discovery. They were being tailed by a private investigator. The couple later provided TRR with video evidence, capturing a purple car trailing them as they navigated local streets with their children in tow. Jonathan provided TRR with footage of his encounter with the driver of a purple car at 6:27 p.m. on September 9, 2024. In the video, Jonathan questions the man about his identity, to which the driver replies, "An investigator." When pressed further, the man adds that he is unable to reveal who employed him. The car's license plate traces back to Jameson Bradley Parker, a private investigator. TRR contacted Daystar on 2 occasions, directly inquiring whether the ministry or Joni had employed Parker's services. However, Daystar remained silent, offering no response. Susie and Jonathan claim that they are unable to think of anyone else hiring a detective to follow them.
And I really felt from the Lord that even though a lot of wrong had been done to me, that I was to stand firm in the position that God had called me to and to not walk away. Right now, Susie and I are at an undisclosed location because we simply do not feel safe at our home. Now, please know that not only has Julie Roys been given all of the evidence and is writing a story that will be out soon, Multiple national reporters have been given all of the evidence as of this afternoon. They should be reporting some stories that will be out in the news.
Daystar's aggressive tactics, they claim, have only deepened their determination. According to Jonathan, the tracker incident reaffirmed his belief that God is guiding him and Susie in uncovering the truth about Daystar. Lamb told broadcaster Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson, "The chances of me to feel in my spirit to pull up the cameras at the exact moment, and there's like over 30 cameras, to have that camera pulled up of the security guard, opening up my trunk, reaching his hand in, and fiddling around the trunk area for a good 30 seconds, I was just like, he put something in my car." According to earlier reports from TRR, tensions among Joni, Jonathan, and Susie escalated significantly following a meeting in July 2023. During the encounter, Joni and her supporter, Jimmy Evans, repeatedly demanded, over 100 times, that the couple comply. Joni felt insulted when the couple refused to acknowledge a viewer's comment celebrating her marriage to Doug Weiss. She insisted they had no right to decline. However, the couple stood firm, arguing that Weiss had no scriptural basis for divorcing his first wife and refused to relent. Thus, Joni dismissed Susie. Jonathan confronted his mother's actions in an email 2 days after the heated encounter. Jonathan wrote, "You both, Joni and Evans, emasculated me by saying, 'My wife has my balls in her hands,' and you both laughed and mocked us. You told me I'm not a good leader and that my wife has no ministry and would have nothing without you and Daystar." Jonathan told his mother he would not return to her program, Ministry Now, without his wife. He also asked for a meeting to clarify where I stand with my choice. Joni responded that Jonathan's email was a mischaracterization of the conversation, and that before setting up a follow-up meeting, she would take some time to pray and get advice. "Things were completely out of hand," Jonathan retorted, and "we urgently need to meet about this matter." But Joni stayed determined. Around a month later, Jonathan and Susie sat down with Tom Callender, a member of the Daystar board, to share their concerns regarding Joni's marriage to Weiss and the way she and Evans had treated them, as they revealed to TRR. Jonathan told TRR that Callender first expressed their worries regarding Joni's marriage. However, Jonathan claimed that after talking to Joni, Callender totally changed his mind. Over the course of the following month, Jonathan, Joni, and Callender met multiple times without reaching a consensus. Daystar viewers, meanwhile, were inquiring as to why Jonathan and Susie had left the show. Although Jonathan and Susie stated on social media that they were not quitting Daystar, they added that they don't have a timeline for their return to the show on September 20th, 2023. Daystar provided Jonathan and Susie Joni with the 13 prerequisites 8 days later so they could resume their on-air jobs. This involved refraining from expressing their views on Joni's marriage and Jimmy Evans. The guidelines also mandated that the couple seek approval from Joni, Callender, and Daystar's CFO before sharing anything related to Daystar on social media. Joni also demanded that the couple destroy all recordings of meetings with Jimmy Evans and Joni, as well as any recordings of private comments Joni shared with Susie about sex and marriage involving Doug. In exchange, Joni said she wouldn't need the couple's approval to be married. Additionally, the pair would be permitted to go back to Ministry Now. In an Octanu 3 reply, Jonathan called the demands overreaching and missing essential terms. Jonathan then asked that Susie be reinstated, calling Joni's abrupt firing of her petty, harmful, and disappointing. He also asked for a contract that clearly spells out my future role as president of Daystar, with limits on Joni's ability to fire him without cause. In return, Jonathan wrote that he and Susie would not publish audio that could be harmful or embarrassing to Daystar, Joni, or our family. He also stated that Susie did not have recordings of private conversations with Joni. The issue was put on hold until the next month's board meeting. However, two distressing incidents occurred in the interim. First, Jonathan discovered the tracker in his business vehicle. Additionally, Jonathan claimed that during a meal with a local businessman, his friend informed him that Joni had frequently made fun of Susie. TRR spoke with the friend, who wished to remain anonymous, and he confirmed Jonathan's account. He said that during the 2-hour lunch, Joni told him that Susie has a Jezebel spirit and has Jonathan by the balls. According to the businessman, Joni also spent around half an hour emphasizing that she and Weiss had not gotten along before Marcus's tragic passing. The whole purpose of that lunch was to flush me out and see what I knew and see if I could be an ally to get Jonathan in line, the man told TRR. The man said he did not cooperate. Jonathan claimed that he and Susie were making headway with his mother before these two incidents. However, these paved the way for a heated board meeting. On November 16, 2023, the Daystar board, comprising Joni, Jonathan, and Calendar, gathered to address the ongoing tensions between Jonathan and Joni. CFO Arnold Torres also attended, and, during the meeting, was appointed to the board. Jonathan had previously asked Calendar for a contract, but Calendar firmly refused. Calendar added that that's not in effect at all, because he had not approved a prior succession plan designating Jonathan as Joni's presidential successor. Calendar, Joni, and Torres attempted to force Jonathan to sign a non-disclosure agreement for the remainder of the meeting, which Jonathan filmed and provided to TRR. They excused Jonathan from the meeting for roughly 45 minutes after he declined. John Lynch, an attorney from Daystar, had attended the meeting by the time the board summoned Jonathan back. Lynch and the board pressed Jonathan to sign the NDA for almost 2 hours. If you do not sign the NDA, then you are removing yourself from the board and removing yourself from your vice president position, Calendar states emphatically on the recording. Lynch adds, "But the real issue is here. Everything you've said in this room is insubordination. That is an independent ground for you to be fired from your employment." Jonathan objects, "But all I've said is I won't sign an NDA." Lynch replies, "What you just said to the CEO in this room, in my presence, that would be grounds for termination of your employment. You don't have the right to go challenge the authority of your organization." The meeting concluded with no concrete resolution, aside from Calendar giving Jonathan 24 hours to decide on signing the NDA. Jonathan ultimately refused to sign it. However, it took the board several months to revoke his positions on both the board and as an executive. Jonathan speculated that this delay was due to the board revising Daystar's bylaws and ensuring all legal aspects were properly addressed before taking action. The news that Jonathan and Susie heard 2 days after the board meeting startled them and widened the split in their family. On November 18, 2023, Denise Boggs informed the couple that, contrary to what Jonathan's late father Marcus Lamb had told him, a previous inquiry had not exonerated a family member they believed to be mistreating their daughter. According to TRR, Boggs, a trusted friend of the Lamb family, enlisted a forensic counselor to lead an investigation in August 2021. However, before the counselor could conduct a thorough interview with the family member under suspicion, Marcus and Joni halted the inquiry. Boggs revealed, "Jonathan described the revelation that his parents had deceived him as crushing. From that moment forward, he and Susie shared that their struggle with Daystar shifted focus, no longer about preserving their positions, but about seeking justice for their daughter." As reported earlier, The couple later sought the help of a counselor, who alerted Child Protective Services about the suspected misconduct. CPS then reached out to law enforcement, prompting them to reopen their investigation into the matter. On November 30th, 2023, Daystar informed Tanuja Sagar, Susie's mother, that her position had been terminated immediately, as reported by Jonathan. In the weeks leading up to Christmas, Daystar reassigned Susie's father, Jai Sagar, to a purchasing assistant role, slashing his salary by $20,000. He was let go from that position in mid-April. On January 30th, 2024, Daystar informed Susie that her prior full-time pay will be cut to a $1,000 monthly retainer. On April 4th, Torres informed Jonathan that he had been dismissed from the board and reassigned to a managerial position, resulting in a salary cut from $250,000 to $150,000. In addition, Daystar placed Jonathan on a performance improvement plan and revoked his company car along with other benefits. Throughout much of the summer, the couple sought refuge outside Texas with their children, fearing for their safety at home. By late August, Jonathan and Susie had returned, opting to sit down with TRR for an interview, sharing extensive audio recordings and a trove of documents related to Daystar. TRR did not, however, contact Joni for comment regarding the accusations against her until Friday, November 15th. The following day, Shannon Kelly arrived at Jonathan and Susie's home, armed and clad in a bulletproof vest. This was the same Daystar security chief whom Jonathan suspected of planting a tracker in his car. However, this time, Kelly was there to deliver a letter informing Jonathan that he had been sacked and would no longer be able to access Daystar's facilities and property, including his email. Although the deadline for Jonathan to reply to the performance improvement plan set by Daystar was November 15th, Jonathan claimed that the ministry had never dismissed anyone on a Saturday. He explained that if a termination decision was made on a Friday, Daystar would typically wait until at least Monday to communicate it. Jonathan said he thinks the intention was to intimidate and frighten, similar to the other strategies Daystar reportedly employed against the couple. However, he stated that neither he nor Susie are going to back down. Susie said in a recent interview, "My hope and my trust is that justice is from the Lord." Psalm 37. And I know he will bring that to completion. Following a string of public accusations made by him and his spouse, Susie, Jonathan Lamb, the former vice president of Daystar Television Network, was fired. Jonathan's mother, Daystar president Joni Lamb, announced on social media on November 25th that her son had been fired from the company. The decision was made after Jonathan participated in a campaign of smears against the organization, she said, adding that his actions were driven by his disappointment at not being selected to take over as Daystar's future president in lieu of his late father, Marcus Lamb. Joni Lamb went on to say that Jonathan was put on a performance improvement plan, PIP, following a 15-month performance review. However, she said that Jonathan declined to take part in mediation or the plan. In her essay, Joni lamented the circumstances and blamed Jonathan's annoyance on the circumstances surrounding her marriage to Dr. Doug Weiss, whom she said had a good impact on Daystar and her family. On November 19, the Lambs made their public exit from Daystar, known by posting on X that they no longer work at Daystar. They accused a Daystar employee of mistreating their daughter in an exclusive interview with the Roy's Report the next day. According to Susie Lamb, their daughter was getting ready to swim when the relative allegedly followed her into her room. She described the relative's behavior as abnormal, saying, "It's like his eyes went black, and he was in a zombie mode." Susie also asserted that their daughter told her about the mistreatment, claiming the cousin had mistreated her. Jonathan Lamb also described confronting the relative, which allegedly caused the family member to apologize. Jonathan and Susie responded to the accusations by accusing Marcus and Joni Lamb of failing to notify authorities and trying to protect the relative. In response, Daystar released a statement claiming that there had been a miscommunication on the matter and that the internal inquiry had revealed no misconduct. Daystar Vice President Jonathan Lamb claimed he was fired from the company for not signing a non-disclosure agreement. Susie Lamb was also unexpectedly fired from Daystar in July 2023, according to the Roy's report. Marcus Lamb, who co-founded the network with his wife, passed away at age 64. The Christian television network that adheres to an evangelical and prosperity theology is called the Daystar Television Network, or simply Daystar. It was founded in 1993 by Marcus Lamb and is owned by Word of God Fellowship. Daystar, which has its headquarters in Bedford, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, telecasts religious content that emphasizes lessons on prosperity. Jonathan Lamb and Susie allege they endured ongoing spiritual mistreatment from Jonathan's mother, along with her supporters. According to critics, Joni took an aggressive approach when she arranged a meeting with Jimmy Evans, the influential founder of XO Marriage, on July 11, 2023. They accuse her of ambushing the couple. During the meeting, Joni humiliated her son, telling him that his wife had him under her control. To make matters worse, Evans pushed Jonathan to yield to his mother, asserting that she held divine authority over him. The heated meeting took place 2 years after Jonathan discovered a relative in an inappropriate situation with his daughter and accused him of mistreatment. As previously reported by TRR, Jonathan and Susie alleged that Joni and her late husband, Marcus Lamb, co-founder of Daystar, swiftly rallied to defend the family member, insisting on his innocence. The revelation sparked a deep divide within the family. However, a few weeks later, in late August 2021, Marcus informed Jonathan and his brother-in-law, Jonathan J.W. Weiss, that an internal review had exonerated the implicated family member. On June 10, 2023, Joni wed Doug Weiss, a seasoned couple therapist and frequent guest on Daystar TV, though he is not connected to J.W. Weiss. Doug had initiated divorce proceedings from his wife of 30 years on January 27, 2022, merely 2 months after Marcus's passing. Additionally, Jonathan and Susie claim that the July 2023 meeting with Evans was an attempt to coerce the pair into openly endorsing Joni's second marriage. Jonathan and Susie claimed that none of Joni's children or their partners supported her decision to marry Weiss. They were all convinced that Weiss had no biblical justification for divorcing his wife, and felt that by marrying him, Joni was engaging in adultery. 2 months before the wedding, Denise Boggs, a close friend of Daystar and a member of Living Waters Ministry, sent a heartfelt letter to Joni's family, imploring them to step in. Boggs, who had a deep understanding of Joni, had also provided counseling to Doug Weiss and Lisa Weiss just before their divorce. Boggs wrote that she had voiced concerns about Weiss to Joni, but she refused to hear me. Now, Boggs said Joni was under a spirit of deception due to Weiss's influence. Boggs wrote, "He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He is of no caliber for such a high platform." She added, "Joni didn't endorse divorce until she came under his deception. Using the Daystar platform, the enemy has successfully mocked the marriage covenant using one of the strongest Christian TV networks in the nation." Jonathan told TRR that he gathered his family to confront Joni 2 days after receiving the letter. But Joni allowed each person no more than 60 seconds to share their heart. Says all she sees from us is fear, and rushes out the door to go fly off to New York with Doug, Jonathan said. Following Joni and Doug Weiss's wedding, Jonathan and Susie felt uncomfortable about the union. However, on July 5, 2023, They were requested to read a viewer's comment on air, which praised Joni's marriage to Weiss. They declined, believing that reading the comment would implicitly endorse the marriage. This refusal seemed to upset Joni profoundly. This led to the meeting with Evans, when Evans and Joni compared Jonathan and Susie's resistance to Satan and Joni's desires to God's. In his 2017 book, Broken Trust, consultant and pastoral coach F. Remy Diederich writes, "Spiritual abuse happens when people use God, or their supposed relationship with God, to control behavior for their benefit." This is exactly what Evans and Joni were doing, according to Jonathan and Susie. At the time, the only people on Daystar's board were Jonathan, Joni, and Tom Callender. A lawyer and Joni's longtime friend, Jonathan, told TRR. Jonathan is also accused by Joni of turning his viewpoint into an idol elsewhere in the discussion, and he is warned of the repercussions. So, that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks.